Okay. The NFL season is about to kick off. The two biggest players in the fantasy sports arena would be DraftKings and FanDuel. They're battling it out. Now, just look at this. Those two companies have shelled out a combined $110 million just this year on TV ads. $110 million for just two of them? The sport may be fantasy, but the money is anything but. Look who's here. DraftKings CEO Jason Robins. That's incredible. $110 million between you and FanDuel?
Oh, that's not even close to what some of the big brands out there are spending.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm a total outsider to this.
Yeah.
I've never played any kind of fantasy sport whatsoever, and you're right in the middle of it. I just didn't realize there was so much money involved.
Well, fantasy sports are incredibly popular. There's about 56 million people in the U.S. and Canada playing, and only about 5 or 6% of them have played daily fantasy sports games so far. So a lot of opportunity
you want to change that, don't you?
Oh, yeah, and a lot of opportunity to get introduce new people to DraftKings.
How do you make your money? Let me see if I've got this right. I and a group of friends get together and we have a fantasy team. Mm-hmm. Another group of people get together, they've got a fantasy team. You hook us up. Is that right?
Sort of.
Play each other?
You don't play on teams. You play against other individuals. So you could pick with a group of friends if you wanted to, or you could play by yourself. And we hook you guys up, exactly.
And where do you make the money?
Well, we take a small commission on the games that you guys play against each other.
So you're right in the middle. You take the vig, basically. That's
yeah, I guess.
If that's the correct expression. I'm not sure whether it is or not.
It's not an expression I prefer. We prefer commission, but... Sure.
You're looking for a very big season, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. This is going to be huge.
Has it anything to do with Tom Brady?
Well, it's interesting because Tom Brady actually highlights exactly what the daily game in DraftKings provide that the traditional season-long game doesn't. If Brady ended up having suspension overturned, it's irrelevant, but if he had been suspended 4 games, the big debate in a season-long league is, do I draft him because I'm stuck with him all year, and he's going to be out 4 games, and he's going to be back later, but, do I waste a pick on someone who's going to be out a quarter of the season? With DraftKings, you don't have to make that decision. You can just not select Brady the first 4 weeks of the season, and then you can pick him week 5 if you want to.
Where are you going with DraftKings? I mean, do you see ultimately a public offering of stock, or are you going to be bought out by a big network of some sort? Where are you going?
We don't try to think about those things.
Yes, you do.
I really don't, because I think if you start to...
With a straight face, we don't think about those things.
Well, sometimes you daydream a little bit, but I don't actually try to make decisions. If you build a great company and you have something of value, then whether it's a public offering or an acquisition, it'll be worth a lot. And as long as you're worth a lot, that's not a bad outcome. So I don't really get caught up in what that outcome's going to be. As soon as I start thinking about it, I try to shut it off and instead just focus on growing the company.
Why do you shut it off? This is the United States of America, and you could make $1 billion, and you never even think about that.
I'm not going to make $1 billion.
Yes, you could.
I don't think I will.
DraftKings, I know for a fact, is worth well over $1 billion.
Yeah.
And it's going to be worth a lot more than $1 or $2 or $3 billion in a couple of years.
That's the hope, yeah.
And you got a big chunk of the action. You got a piece of it, haven't you?
Well, I do, but maybe not as large a piece as you think. We have lots of employees. I have co-founders, lots of investors.
I would imagine that you've got at least 10%. Am I right?
No.
Less than 10%?
Yes.
Are you one of the founders?
I am.
You negotiated a lousy deal if you're the founder and you got less than 10%.
Well, I have 2 other co-founders, so we all have to share, and we have an executive team and many employees and also many investors.
If you did an IPO and you brought in $2 billion and you've got a 5% stake, I'm trying to do the math here, that's a lot of money.
Million, yeah.
That's $100 million and more.
If I had a 5% stake, that would definitely be what it would be.
No chance of an IPO at all? You're not even...
I wouldn't say that. I just don't think that right now we're preoccupied. I mean, listen, we're less than a week before NFL season. Everybody's mind is on making sure we have a successful NFL season. And maybe after things are underway and I have a little bit of time to come up and take a breather, I'll start giving some thought to that. But right now, we are laser focused.
Do you do fantasy soccer?
We do. We have fantasy soccer in 3 different leagues.
Baseball, hockey.
Everything. You name it, yeah. NASCAR,
in terms
golf.
Of popularity, is it football right out front?
Oh,
then baseball. What's the ranking of popularity for doing this?
Football, baseball, and basketball are the biggest. Hockey is quite popular. Golf has become very, very popular. NASCAR, UFC.
Golf? How can you have fantasy golf? How do you
it's the same thing. You have a lot of statistics that people accumulate during a golf tournament. So it's the same concept as any fantasy sport. You pick a team of players, and those players accumulate statistics over a 4-day, 4-round golf tournament, and you get fantasy points for it.
Jason Robins, you have opened my eyes.
You should try it out. You'll enjoy it.
Do you have fantasy cricket?
Not yet, but we will.
You will?
Eventually,
you can say
yeah.
confidently you will.
Oh, yeah. There's 1 billion people that are going to be watching the Cricket World Cup. That is a big market. We certainly want to be a part of that.
Look, if you want to make $1 billion, you've got to get into the cricket market.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
Of course.
All right, Jason Robins. Stop laughing, Austin. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for
having me. It was great.
me.
Thanks a lot, sir. Appreciate it.